Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Sigil Dragon. I am a 3D printing variety streamer on Twitch and YouTube. What does that mean? Well, it means we do everything from machine unboxings like our X1Cs over here and the Centuria Carbons that are down behind me, to printer builds like our Voron. We take part in beta tests like the box turtles up here, and a bunch of other things. So welcome on in, everybody. Hey, Timur, how's it going? Glad to see you here. So we have been working on the Micron build for our good friend Zura. We picked this project up from him at Midwest Rep Rap Festival back in June, end of June. And we're bringing this with us at the end of the month when we go up to 3D Printopia, and we'll be hand delivering it back to them at the show. We are running fairly low on parts here as far as what's left. So let me switch over to the bench side here. Might have to adjust some things, but these are pretty much the parts that are left outside of the panels, right? So we've got parts for the colony clacker door, some trim pieces for the underneath once we put the deck panel on, the screen accents, and the rear PTFE tube. So, I mean, we're getting really close to being done as far as a physical build. What we're going to be focusing on today is going to be wiring. So let me move this stuff off the bench, preferably without throwing them all over the floor. And I'll grab the printer and show you where we're at with the printer itself. So here's where we stand with the printer today. We've got all four of our Z-axes in place and tensioned up. We've got our A and B in here. We've got our tool head installed. We've got our bed fans and our Nevermore bed filter installed. Hey, 3D Medic vents. We've got our skirts installed, and we're ready to add our screen, which we'll do towards the end before we button things up on the bottom. We've got all of our tool head wiring back here, but it's not wired up to the actual board yet. And looking at this, I may take this. Let me think twice, thrice about that. No, we're just going to have to do wiring right on the back here. We have our AB wiring to do once we add our GBB15. And if you remember, on the last stream, we've kind of pigtailed everything. So we did some bench testing, and we got all of our firmware installed on the Raspberry Pi. We flashed the Leviathan. We flashed our GBB15, which is going to be mounted on our back rail here. And that's going to bring our initial CAN bus wiring up to the back rail, where we'll be able to plug our A and B motors in, and then we'll pigtail off of that again to come up to the tool head. And that's why you'll see this type of wire routing. Now, this is not the wire we're going to use. He did provide some nice IGUS wiring. This was just me bench testing so that we can get everything running on the bench before we put it in the machine, where it becomes a little more difficult. I have no idea if these would actually fit in everything. It was just, like I said, we took wires that I had and created them. Hey, Additive Adam, how's it going? And these wires will be used to bench test and do the same thing like we did here for other boards where we're doing CAN bus at. So, and we've got our coffee. Hey, Eagle the Dragon, how's it going? Yes, go Clemson Tigers at 5:30 Colorado time, 7:30 my time in North Carolina. That is correct. So we have a Clemson Tiger game this evening, and if you didn't know, I am a Clemson Tiger fan. So, yep, not a problem, buddy. Okay, so where are we at next? We're going to start with wiring, and I think what I'm going to do is start at the bottom and work my way up. Meaning, I'm going to do the underdeck wiring first. And what we've got is our 4Zs, and then we'll have to worry about our doing our fans up and getting our fans all connected up. Now, if you remember right, this is basically a mini 2.4. So the front left motor is motor 0. So this, because this would be the front of the machine, the left side, if it was sitting up, this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to mount or run this one to the first motor, this one to the second, this one to the third, this one to the fourth. And then that'll give us our 4 Z motors laid in there. Normally you would be using these two for your AB, but we're going to be running those off the GBB15. Hey, Bearded Printer, how's it going? Welcome in and good morning. Off-topic question, Cobra S1, do you run Orca or Anycubic Next Slicer? Yes. I've been working with both. I believe right now the last few prints I've done have been with the Anycubic Slicer. And I did update the firmware on the machine and to the latest slicer. Now, Mrs. Dragon has been printing on it, and the last few prints that she has done, it has decided to start eating things off the bed. So, not sure what's going on there, but I'm going to have to look into it. So, what we decided we were going to do is cut these wires to length so that we reduce the amount of wires that are running around through here. We could probably easily put a cable trough right here in the very front of the machine. Right, we do have room that we can put one right here in the very front of the machine, and that will take care of some of the wire routing if we wanted to. I don't think I'm going to. If I had black, it would be a little bit easier. I don't have a black cable trough. All I have is that like cream beige color, and I think that would stick out underneath here. And so I would much rather keep it black if possible, because you can see through these front skirts. So what we're going to do for now is I'm just going to run these. We'll cut them to length, and we will just zip tie them together to make nicer runs with the cables to keep them out of the way. And then once again on the fans, I'm going to take each side and plug them into a 2 or a 3-way. So 2 in, 1 out, 2 in, 1 out, and we'll bring those to our fans up here, because once again, we'll have the bed fans, the filter fan, and then the controller fans, so we can set all of that up to be running nicely. Good morning, Hutch's Makerspace. How are you? Did someone say yeet? Yeah. Yep. I probably did say the word yeet. Yeet. So let me get my little kit here. This is pretty easy. Pick a kit off of Amazon. I've got multiples down here. The biggest thing is just pay attention. This size is the pH size. This is used for the 6-pin side of your motors and other things. So this is a different size. All of these are various iterations of this. They're the standard JST XH connectors that I've collected over time. And I'm still going to be dealing with allergies today. Oh, also, I did make a comment about a riff update. The riff is all cabled up except for the tool head. After stream today, I'm going to solder up the cartographer that Zura gave me, and I'm going to be able to plug that directly into the Nighthawk board on the tool head, mount the tool head, plug this cable in, finish I was going to say wiring, not the wiring, but finish the software config, and I'll be able to start getting some initial tests done on this. It is plugged in and turned on. Give me 1 second to shut it off. Or shut it down. I have not closed up the other side of the deck panel yet, as you can see, but on the back side here, I have a box mounted here to the side. This has a SKR Mini E3 version 1.2 board in it, and it just has the X and the 2 Y motors. The Y motor wires are covered in cable channel as it comes down and around, exposed right here. The X motor, I created I catted up a quick mount here for the chain here and here. So we've got the chain going through with our USB cable for the Nighthawk, which is cable chain rated, as well as our motor wire. And that's the only thing that's plugged in down here is the 3 motors. And then this fan to keep it cool. Other than that, all the wiring goes up underneath the deck. And once I get, I need to get some thicker split loom that I will cover up the bed wires here in so that they don't go all over the place when the bed goes up and down. But we are getting close to seeing first movement on the riff. And if everything goes well, the riff may make a trip here in the very near future to a show near you. Good morning, Zombie. How's it going? We're just getting our stuff ready here. We're going to start wiring on our Micron. And we're going to start by just doing our 4 motor wires in succession. We're going to clean up the links here and make it so that we can join things together and kind of keep things routed as nicely as possible. In fact, what I might do is actually start with motor 1 here. Figure out how I'm going to route this down and under. Working on your Jabberwocky, nice. Jabberwocky's a pretty quick build. Yeah, it's a pretty quick build, and what I'm liking with the toolhead boards and the Nighthawk is once you get it there, everything just fits nicely, right? Everything just fits nicely. Come down there like that. We'll go about right there. Good place to cut that. And then what I'm going to do is just take and mimic the same color routing. So when I terminate this end, I'm terminating it in the same order as what we have on the original cable. And that should give us a good starting point. Yeah, it's nice that everything is pre-wired and it's wired to proper cable lengths. And if you follow the routing for wires, you should have perfect wire lengths without a bunch of excess left over. Now, what I am going to do here is just grab 4 new in connectors, JST connectors out of my tray here. And then off stream, I'll take these little pigtails and recover these out of them off stream. I mean, the dragon burner that I showed off, I was impressed with how nicely that went together, and how nicely the wire is routed and everything to the Nighthawk. I also like that the Nighthawk has part cooling fan, 2-pin part cooling fan on either side, so you don't have to try and figure out how to splice wires, because anytime you're splicing at the tool head there, it doesn't come out as clean, right? You're going to have to you'll have the problem of trying to talk and work on stream at the same time. You'll have the problem of trying to either splice it, and if you splice it with any type of connector, you're increasing the size and weight on the tool head. And if you splice it with, by soldering it, then it becomes a maintenance issue, because if a fan goes but another one is good, or I don't know, when you're playing around with it, you jam something into a fan and break a bunch of fins, you need to replace a fan. Now you've got to go and potentially replace both or deal with wire lengths and issues. And it's a cleaner install and maintenance wise having the two connectors. All right, so what we got? We got blue, red. Hey, Timor. There is an 8-channel box turtle. In fact, I believe it was an 8-channel double wide that they had at Rocky Mountain at the Armored Turtle booth. Whose was it? I cannot tell you. If Thunder Keys pops in, he should be able to tell you. I can't remember. It wasn't Armored Turtles, and it wasn't Thunder Keys. It was one of the other people that were there. And it was running a custom board. It wasn't like two AFCs daisy chained together that I'm aware of. But you can run multiple 4-way box turtles, just like you can an AMS. So all you need is the 4-into-1 adapter, and you can run it that way. Okay, next up is going to be our green. And once again, the plan is to do the 4 Z motors, and then we'll go up to the top deck. I still don't want to put the bed in just yet. I do the bed kind of last on these builds just because it adds weight. Now, granted, on this size, it's not going to add a ton of weight, but yeah, it's just less mass to be moving around as you're trying to flip a machine around. But once we get the tool head, the wiring done all the way up to the tool head, then we'll be good to do that last bit of wiring. Why did you not want to go in? There we go. And last one. You need to build a stacked 3x2 for yourself. Okay, so 3 wide, 2 high for your stealth changer. Yeah. Speaking of stealth changer, I was asking on Thursday, I was asking Jason, LDO Jason, for an update on shipping of my stealth changer, and had offered that if it hadn't shipped yet, that I could just pick it up at 3D Printopia. He's like, oh, I think it should be close. Here's the routing number. And I got the FedEx routing number, put it in, and the status was the picture of it sitting at my front door. And I obviously was not home at the time. Otherwise, I would not have been asking for a status update. So that was kind of a nice little find there. So I've got the stealth changer kit. I need to open it up and verify what all, make sure everything's in it. And that's great. That's probably not the best way to do it, but it works. But yeah, we've got our stealth changer kit. So I need to work on reviewing that, or not reviewing it, but just opening it up, making sure I have everything here. We've got the Ender NG, and the donor printer is here. So we've got that. And then we've also got, why is my pen not writing anymore? We've also got the CASA enclosure for the Milo Mini Mill. I think this Sharpie just died. So we've got a few projects to keep us company this fall and winter after Printopia. Might be some other things on the horizon too that we need to work on, but more on that when that comes about. What projects are you bringing to Printopia? It depends. I need to get permission, and if I get permission, I will be bringing the Rift 600 over here, and I am potentially bringing the large 0G rebuild that we just finished. So I just got to make sure that I'm allowed to, because both of them have some prototype parts in them that I have to get approval of first. So yeah, I should be fine. I just need to ask the question. I am not anticipating getting a no. I just need to ask the question to make sure that I stay in good graces. Don't want to burn bridges that don't need to be burned. Hey, Clown Hammer, Wick, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing well today. We're making good progress here, as you can see on the Micron. We're to the point where we're starting our wiring. And it would be real easy just to take the existing wires, plug it in, and just stuff everything up underneath the stuff everything up underneath the deck panel, but that's not me. That's not me. So they're trying to straighten things up and make it easier. Though I did ask Zura, who this is his machine that I'm building for him, and I did ask him, "Do you want me to keep these long so that if you pull tear this down later and try and reuse things?" And he said, "Nope, make it pretty." And I said, "Okay, I'll do my best." So I would be using my heat shrink label maker to label these, but somebody ran me out of label stuff. Kind of love when things are brought back, sat on your desk, and said, um, "Hey, out of labels." Well, that's great. Who would tear down a Micron? I don't know. I will tell you this: I traded my Micron and my salad fork at Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Festival 2 years ago, and doing this build is making me want to get another Micron kit and build another Micron. These are just cool little printers. Um, yeah, these are just cool little printers. Mrs. Dragon would probably not be happy with me building another printer for the house, but yeah, I've got to work on cleaning some stuff up around here because I got a lot of printers at the house and I'm running out of space to put them. I've gotten rid of some printers and then gotten printers or done new builds. So now everything that I got rid of, I now have at least a 1-for-1 back again for where I was. So really kind of need to straighten some stuff out and get some stuff moving again. And by moving, meaning like finding homes for some more printers and moving some things around. So this is Z0, Z1. This is going to be Z2. On that, that'll make this one Z3. Yeah, if the frame gets destroyed, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, you'll tear it down, but normally you just get a new frame. You just get a new frame and you rebuild it. So, or who knows? Maybe you leave it on a plane, forget about it. Do not blame others for not having 3 spares of everything. Oh, I've got spares of everything. So 2 Rocky Mountains ago, I traded my Micron and my salad fork. And that basically was the tube and takeoff tool head and the FXD extruder that's on the 350 Trident downstairs. Red's next. The Then this second or this last round, I traded out my V02 for 2020, which I had been getting lambasted on by Mrs. Dragon for getting rid of the Rook 2020. The good news is I have most of the parts. I just need like a frame kit and the linear rails, and I could probably build another one. So we'll have one here. And technically, I have enough frame material that I don't need a frame kit. I can cut my own. And like I was saying, we've got the Ender NG, we've got a stealth changer, but the stealth changer tool changer setup is going to go on Fade Dragon behind me, so that is upgrading an existing printer, not a net new. The Ender 3 NG will be a net new, and then the Casa enclosure is not a net new. It's just an enclosure for a milling machine so I don't make a mess everywhere. Yeah, with some of my other ventures going on, I am buying machines where it makes sense to buy a machine versus building a machine. And I know Jeremy, every time he pops in here, he's like, "Hey, I will hold that black box for you. Just bring it to the show." And I know he'll take a black box from me just to help out, but I'm still not going to bring the black box to you, Jeremy. Don't say those curse words on stream. Yeah. Hey, Adam, how's it going? Just not label heat shrink. What do you mean? That's what I do use is heat shrink label. I don't always shrink it, but you can. The and the reason I got that is from working on my plane project. You know, when you've got cables that are running 10, 12 feet, you definitely want labels on both ends so you know what is going where. Blue Shock Brew. Fitting in from the bike. Okay. I was going to say, I thought you were going on a bike ride. I guess you are still. So we're just going through and getting our Z wires trimmed down and re-terminated. Once we're done here, we'll just keep moving on to the next thing. We'll do the fan wires. I'm just going to try and do everything underneath first, and then we'll come back in and start working on the rest. $4 years. Yeah. When did that stream just happen, Jeremy, or is it getting ready to happen? I'll be quite honest. I have not been watching too many streams, or if I have been, I've just been kind of lurking. My sleep schedule has been so screwed up lately. And like Thursday, I know I didn't stream Thursday. I came home and I sat down and I woke up at 9:30. So my body said it was time to go to sleep, and that's apparently what my body did. So we got blue, red, green, and black. To Printopia coming up here and taking some much needed time off to enjoy it. And I hope everyone's getting a chance to enjoy this long holiday weekend here in the US. When he hits his 4 years, nice. Well, congratulations there, Lee Marie. Um, yeah, congratulations. Okay. there's that one. Like I said, we'll put a couple of zip ties on these just to keep them together and keep them a little bit nicer. Debugging crash logs. Oh, that sounds fun. Yeah, my computer's been doing some weirdness lately as well. Like my Z drive is giving up for the ghost right now, which is the only spinning disk in my rig. So I think that's kind of interesting, but yeah. So, and of course it's like a 4 terabit drive that had all of the STLs and stuff. So that's going to be a blast. And I'll worry about this side stuff once I get the honey badgers done. Now the honey badgers are 3-wire fans, and I am not planning. Well, I guess I can. Dang. Well, that's the issue. Is my my pin junctors here are only 2 pins. So what I'm going to do is just wire these up as the 2 pins, and if he gets 3 pins, he can easily swap this out. Basically, we're just going to plug these in without the tacos connected. Right? No big deal there. It's just the taco would enable it to be aware of what the speed is and tell if a fan dies. Yeah, I have yeah, the computer down here, I do upgrades on it every year or every other year. And I've got like 3 other computer chassis around the house that I can update or upgrade things with. And then the words on stream getting kind of hard. I'm getting Evil Diesel's old computer. And I say I'm getting Evil Diesel's old computer. I will get Evil Diesel's old computer when he finishes building the wall mount chassis that he's building. Which I've already bought a new all-in-one because he's keeping his custom water loop for that one. And I don't blame him for that. But yeah, it's kind of looking forward to that. Now I need to figure out how's the best way of mounting these, because I don't think this is going to be screwed into plastic. I think these are through holes. They are. The through holes will be right in the way. Let me think that out. I'm actually going to hold off on doing those now because I'm going to have to think these out. I know what I want to do, but I need to figure out and think about mounting of these. I'm just going to tuck these in for now. Okay, we will have a CAN bus wire that we'll need to run, and I'm not sure how long said CAN bus wire needs to be, but Blue Chocolate Bro did provide 2 IGUS cables. I just have to find them again. So I do have some IGUS chain flex here. So we'll get this prepped and ready. Oh, nice. And once again, this is going to go up and through the Z-axis cable chain. So I'm going to not cut this. I'm just going to literally run it up and through where the cable chains or the cable, the cable chain is going to mount. And then we'll route this around to our CAN bus. And I'll try and figure out the best way of doing that without laying it on, over, or around all of the mains power that's sitting right here that I have zero way of getting around without running it through, around, or under a power supply. So we're just going to embrace it, try and get the shortest run possible, because this isn't inexpensive wire. It's not majorly expensive, but it's not inexpensive. And I did just recently order a bunch of this from KB3D. Along with a few other things. This has sleeved shielding on it. Let me see if I can't pull you guys in here. So this is a braided shielding. We do have 4 connector or conductor wires in there. Oh yeah, probably not the nicest way of doing that. It's the best way of getting there we go. How many layers does it take? Apparently at least one more. And all of these layers is what gives this cable its EMI protection and its flex protection, and why it's rated for cable chain use. So, hey, Shenanigans, welcome on in. How's it going, my friend? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so if I remember right, crap. Let me double check. I think this one, all 4 cables are the same size. I just want to make sure. Visually, they're looking that way. Gives me a chance to take a coffee break. Really? Whoa, 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 whoa. So, welcome on in, Shenanigans, and thank you for the raider or the raid with 8 viewers. I appreciate that, my friend. How are you doing today? I believe, were you driving? Uh, hey, open-eyed, how's it going? Does that improve? Give us a honk. There you go. Hope everybody's doing well today. And Blue Chocolate Bro, thank you so much for the 10 community gift subs. And for those of you that aren't aware, it is September here on Twitch. I believe it starts this weekend, though if not, definitely by Monday, which will be the first. But yeah, thank you for gifting the 10 subs there, Blue Chocolate Bro. I appreciate that. Welcome on in, Crimson Horizon. How are you? Mr. Wizix just subscribing for 19 months. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. You guys are awesome. We have a hype train incoming. So I think if we get any more bits or subs, we'll start into a hype train. We are starting the wire up process. What we have done so far is wired in our 4Z motors. I'm holding off on wiring the fans right now because I just need to, I'm still trying to make the final decision on how to mount them up. I've got some 3-way parallel 2-pin JST connectors. So this will allow me to plug in both fans on each side, just as standard fans without using the yellow taco wire. And then take these into the fan port on the board. But the problem I will run into there is just mounting those. How do I want to mount those? So I may come up with a different idea or concept for mounting those fans. So I'm going to hold off for right now. Thank you for the 100 biddies, Lee Marie, and that started a level or a hype train, and we are currently at 65% of a level 2 hype train. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and apparently I'm not finding the IGUS chain flex on Fabreeko, so I'm just going to take a quick look because I don't think it says it on here, but maybe it does. I mean, it's got a bunch of numbers on it, but not ones that I'm familiar with. I mean, obviously, voltages and temp ratings and stuff, but all right. So let's just go. What I wanted. There we go. That helps. Chain flex cables. Hey Liz, how's it going? Welcome in. Hey Bob, how's it going? You like the finish on the print? Yeah, thank you. So we're doing Cookie CAD Dark Magic ABS, and this is a sparkle gray from Inland Filament. Thanks for the Prime sub, Pezliz. I appreciate that, and thank you for the gigantic emoji built over bot. Yep, that's what I'm going to be looking at. Is I just trying to figure out the specs on this particular one to know. CF113. Okay, there we go. Servo motor, feedback cable, blah, blah, blah. 422 gauge. Okay. Well, there we go. And I have to remember that the Leviathan end of the cable is a different pinout. So we'll pull that cable from the GBB 15. And I made a note here that the Leviathan board has a different pinout for that cable. So yeah, and it says 0.34, which does line up with that. There is a CF1300D 4 by 0, comma 34. So that would be the 0.34 millimeter, which would be the 22 American wire gauge. So there we go. Yeah, thank you, everybody. We finished with a 78% towards a level 2 hype train with 12 gift subs and 130 bits. So thank you, everybody, for that. I'm just trying to figure out my cable colors here and what I want to use. Since they're all four the same size, we'll just pick these two. For red's obviously going to be power. And let me get my microfit connectors out. And also, before I start doing that, let's way too big. All right, folks, I'm just going to look at getting some heat shrink for the go over the chain flex end. Just to make things clear. Yeah, now that I think about it, I was looking for my connectors, but I think you did provide connectors for these, right? Ah, here we go. We'll go ahead and use your connectors. And female connectors go in the male housings, and male connectors go in the female housing. The oh yeah, the Olex microfit connectors. I think this gets his from like DigiKey or something like that, but he gets them in bulk, which is probably about the only way to make it economical. It's me. Start. Okay. So we're going to start with red. Yeah, and I think the larger bulk that you buy in, the better off you'll be as far as these connectors go. And once again, we are doing positive ground. Okay. And at this point, we don't have, I'll say, our standardish color scheme. The I guess chain flex that I bought from KB3D that I have coming in, it's, I want to say, two 20 gauge connectors and then two 24 gauge, or two 20 gauge conductors and two 24 gauge conductors. That'll obviously be for the can high, can low, or data. Yeah, I want to say that's how he does his. Is he just gets a large stock from DigiKey or somebody, and then he breaks it down into smaller packages. You can buy them individually or in small packs. Just make sure you get Molex Microfit 3s. And I just realized this is kind of down low and you're not seeing me actually do the crimping and stuff. That's great. Okay. And I'll heat shrink this a little bit later. For now, I'm just going to try and get this plugged in. I was going to route it down and around, but I'm thinking better of that. And really what I'm doing is just trying to get that in the spot there so we can figure out about how much chain flex we're going to need to come out the other side here. So that's put in loosely. We're not all the way up, so I will go ahead and pull us all the way up. Why is that looking a little wonky? So everything is at the top on the gantry, so that would be the max height. So what we look at doing is getting our ends on here, and then we can figure out our cable chain loop. The cable chain, I think, is down in here as well. Cable chain. I really do appreciate you having all of the materials here for this build and stuff too, Sarah. This has been pretty awesome. Install this and then we'll move that over. We'll need some flathead screws. Flathead screws. And I'm not seeing flatheads, but that's okay because I do have some. And we'll put over here. The reason I'm going to want to use flatheads here, you can use just standard M3x6s. I'm going to go ahead and put some flatheads on here just because I think it looks a little bit nicer. I say that provided I have my M3 countersunk flathead screws up here. Yep, I do. All right, take it easy, Lee Marie. Hopefully you get your computer done and you can stream well. Let me. Hello, Mrs. Dragon. All right. Hopefully this gives me a little bit better angle on here. Otherwise, I'll have to take this off and do it, which is totally fine as well. Yeah, we're going to need to take that off. Sorry, what I'm trying to do is add the mount to this piece and drop an M3x6 flathead screw up, because why not? Mhm. Mhm. What would I do with the other one? Well, good gracious, did I drop everything? Vacuum cleaner might get to eat some screws later today. Oh, flatheads worked best for that. We'll go ahead and get this slime back up, and we'll get it scooted over. This is going to come up and around. Up and around. Work with me, not against me. There we go. It'll come up and around. And then it's going to have to come up underneath here, basically like this. So it's going to come up the cable chain, around the cable chain like this, and then it's going to come under and up, sort of like that, and into the GBB 15. So this is where I'm going to cut this end. And then we'll create this end to be for the GBB 15 side of things, which is a slightly different pinout. So that's why we're going to jump over here and look at this pinout when we go to do the other side. Meanwhile, while I'm here and I have stuff, let me do this, screw down this connector. Losing my mind. And Lee Marie is going live at noon, right? His streaming setup holds up. Trying to remember also what he was working on today. And I think I'm going to go ahead and work on terminating this other side first before we mess with that side or mess with the other stuff there because it'll be a little bit easier before we start. If anybody's been following, did he ever get his tool changer working? Ask because I will be starting that journey myself here very soon. We'll be starting that journey soon, and it's always good to have people you can reach out to when you have the invariable problems that you will most likely have when you're doing a project like that. Okay, so we're going to get these 4 connectors undone. Remember which ones we used where. And I'm going to make sure, I'll pull the other end of the cable out just to make sure that, or at least be able to look at it to make sure that I am doing the right cables in the right order. Because once again, the Leviathan side is the one side that is different. And then the other cables will all be done up the same way as I'm doing this side. And Liz, do we have a countdown for 3D Printopia? I asked because you're the one that keeps us on our toes. Like we're getting ads going. And sorry, folks, I know I'm not as talkative when I'm doing the cable crimping. Now with that there, we'll move our heat shrink over and we'll shrink down our heat shrink a little bit to protect our cables. That end's done. Now let's do the other side in here. All right. So this one should be done now. We'll go ahead and stick this in the CAN bus connector. There's most likely more cable chain here than what I'm going to need. So we'll take that off at the appropriate spot. And I love when I don't pay attention and start doing it the wrong way. Okay, so that's there. All right, sounds good, Blue Chocobo. Have a good one. Stay safe on your bike ride. Okay, so we've got the cable chain as it goes up to the top. I need to mount the GBB 15 here. We'll flip this over. What am I sitting at? On my other 6mm screw. Okay, so we got this bent over, and we need to mount our GBB 15 here on the back side. And once again, on this board, this connector up here next to our USB-C, this is the in. So that's the cable that we just brought up. This is the one that's going to go into the in side. Looking for something. Did I? There it is. That's what I was looking for. So we've got our blue heat transfer stuff, this little gummy stuff. We're going to lay this on the back of the board, and we need to cut a couple of holes in it where these M3x8 screws are going to go through to hold this to the bottom or the back of the, or to the bottom of our thing here. And what am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? Oh, I need to get some of our little T-nuts in here. So I get those in there, and I need to grab the little T-nuts that, of course, I put back in here. Putting away, thinking, oh, I'm done. I don't need these. Yep. Hey, Tech Jeeper, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. Now, let's see how many times it takes me to put these in there and drop them in. hard part there is done. Now I need to find the forceps. Sorry, I realize you guys cannot see what I'm doing. So what I'm trying to do now is get our little T-nuts here squished onto the printed part so that we have a T-nut in here for M3 screws. So this is basically an LDO thing where they've made T-nuts, where they've made square nuts with a rounded edge that allows you to drop them into the 1515. And then there's a printed part that's got a little bit of a slope on one end. So basically what you're trying to do is get the nut started up on the slope and squish them together. And one worked well and the other's telling me to go pound sand. I almost had to get stitches. Uh-oh. What were you almost getting stitches for? A lot more painful than it needed to be. Just trying to make sure that these holes align. And then, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to take our blue stuff here. I'm going to take our blue stuff, cover this down as much as possible, cut the edge off, and this interfaces between this and the railing. So think I'm just gonna pull the one side off. We'll line this up on the edge of our part here. What I'm going to do is just trim the edge here and then that edge is trimmed. Now we need to kind of locate the two holes here. And this is where having a good whatchamacallit, a good blade would be great. I don't have a blade being like an X-Acto knife blade, so I'm just gonna kind of carve it out some with my head of a screwdriver. We're basically just trying to get the hole identified so that we can put a screw through it. We'll take off the backing material on this side. And you have to have this blue gummy stuff on here because this is we are transferring the heat from the steppers into the extrusion. So this is a critical part of the whole thing, is to have that stuff there. Three by 8. And we're going to be doing this to hold this in place, not necessarily like ugga-dugga and squish everything down. Okay, there we go. So this is our GBB 15 here. Once again, this side is where this one's going to go into. This is there's not much of a bend radius to this. We also want to make sure that we put a anchor zip tie down here, at least one, if not two. And then we'll work on doing our motors. And kind of the more I look at this, the more I'm going to want to move that GBB 15 a little bit. So the way it's lined up, the latching pin for the one that's going to come out and go up to the umbilical is right in line with the whatchamacallit here. So I do want to move this down. Hopefully I can move it down without messing up our blue stuff, just by loosening things here. We'll see if we can't move this whole thing lock, stock, and barrel down. Just to about there. That's going to allow this other chain flex to be able to clip in and not interfere with the cable chain. Now, on each side of this GBB 15, and I'll turn this around so you can see a little bit more what I'm talking about, hopefully. Bring you guys down. Okay. So right here was where I was talking about. If I center this, then this side, which is the locking clip for the chain flex that's going to come up to the umbilical, would be right behind here. And that would be a problem. So we just move the whole thing down a little bit. We still have plenty of loop here. This motor is going to connect on this side. This motor is going to connect on this side. And then we'll have the ability for our end stop to also plug in here, because we'll have an end stop for each side as well as a thermistor for each side. So we can put a thermistor right here. There is a thermistor spot on this cable chain guide. So we'll be able to put a thermistor right in here as well and bring it into one of these. You need a personal airbag. Uh-oh. Yes, it's thermal transfer tape. This goo right here is a thermal transfer tape. Similar to what we put on our heat sinks and stuff. So we have that. We'll have to make one more of our chain flex cables to go from here through the cable gland and then up to the tool head. We'll do that here in a little bit. Right now we're going to continue to work our way up. So we're going to work on getting our motors terminated here. GBB 15. There we go. So what we're going to be working with here, let me go full display for a second. Right, so this is our GBB 15 board and the pinout. So this is our USB-C connector, and this is the CAN N that we have. So thermistor to the inside, end stop to the outside, and then we've got our motor. This is the A motor, this is the B motor. Okay, and I'm looking at this going, well, technically, it doesn't matter. We can change the motors however we want. All we know is we have a motor into one and a motor into the other. That's all we care about. We can change everything else. Like, I'm sitting here going, technically, this is the B and this is the A on a Core XY. So the back left is the B, back right is the A, because Core XYs go bah, right? So technically this would be the B motor, but the way I have this plugged in right now, this is the A motor, this is the B motor port. on that board. It doesn't matter. We'll make it work in the config. Yeah. And I kind of like this coming here because when this cable comes over here, it's going to kind of push it over a little bit. I could flip this whole connector around, just undo the 2 screws, lift the board up, turn around, put it back down. I'm going to be fine with this. What we will want to do, though, is kind of do something like this to make sure that we can keep our wiring clean. And once again, we're just going to match that same wiring scheme when we do this connector over here. So blue, red, green, black, just like the others. Um, we're going to need at least 10 of these because we've got 2 4-pin motor wires and an end stop. We need a couple more of these 4 pins and a 2-pin. Okay. Have you done full wiring on any of your printers, Zombie, or have you always done? Have you always had uh, pre-made wiring harnesses? I know your black box, you had the pre-made harness. I think I was the only one that did it by hand because, masochist. What is going on? Okay. Blue, red, green, black. Yeah, I made a bunch. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess so, because the on the stealth burner there's no kit for. And the stealth changer itself, it is not okay. You have a 2.4. Here is a set of instructions, a single set of instructions that converts it. No, there are instructions for the gantry mount. There's instructions for the top hat. There's instructions for the electronics. Like each little piece is a separate instruction manual. So we're gonna be looking through like 4 or 5 different instruction manuals, but it's modular. So that's why the manual is done that way, is it's a modular solution. And like I said, we'll go through and we'll be like, okay, we're going to build all of the tool heads. Then, okay, we're going to build the gantry mount for the tool heads. Okay, there we go. So, and what do you think, Zombie? Should I do full stealth burners or should I do a dragon burner? I mean, I know what I'm going to do, but most of your EBB, yeah. Well, I will tell you too that when I wired up a couple of my kits, my big ones, I went and got the Lineal kit because, yeah, not having to cut and crimp all those, just grab the Lineal kit and shove it in is a godsend. Yeah, for the stealth changer when I get there, I'm gonna have to do 4 tool heads, of course, and I think I know which one I want to do. I just want to see what your opinion is. There's pros and cons to each hot end type, but yeah, for the stealth changer kit. And I know you did first impressions of the H2S on your stream because I saw your post afterwards, but probably moving away from Dragon Burner to something that docks better. Well, what docks better than Dragon Burner in your mind? But what is your what's your first impressions of the H2S? I'm pretty sure you have one, and K2 Kevin has one. I don't know if Liz has one. I have not gotten one. I'll say yet. Trying to make some decisions on some things before I get a bunch of new printers. But all right, we will need this. So don't put that away yet. We're going to need some of this stuff. But we're going to put that over here. Sorry, Riffy. I know you're getting close, but I am going to still use you because I'm going to sit down. I'm going to sit down. Ugh. All your printers are ancient. Yeah, yeah. All my printers are ancient. I've got P1Ss and X1Cs, and they print beautifully. So, yeah. It's just a big A1 anyway. Is it a big A1 or a bigger X1? You know I'm going to tease you, Liz. And for those of you that missed the comment by Eagle the Dragon earlier, Mrs. Dragon is leaving tomorrow and heading out to Colorado. And I'm not even sure. She might be getting back like right before we have to leave to go to Bel Air. So, yeah, I am going to do my damnedest to get no more projects going. Like, I do not intend to start the Stealth Changer or the I'm not planning on doing the Stealth Changer or the Ender 3 NG build before getting back from the show. We're going to be working on, well, I need to work on my maker chips and getting the printers prepped that I'm taking to the show and making sure that they're decently tuned in before leaving. And we will start new project builds once we get back, which will be the Stealth Changer and the Ender 3 NG. I do have color scheme already for the Stealth Changer because, of course, it's going to go on Fey Dragon. So it's going to be Polymaker ASA Purple and Sparta 3D ASA Sparkle Pink, because that is the color scheme for that printer already, and I'm not going to change it. We're just going to do the addition of the Stealth Changer to it. And big shout out to LDO Motors for providing that to me for the stream. We will be doing some edamames here in the near future. I'm trying to get a kit from them. I haven't got a shipment notification for it yet. But at the very least, mine is the ones that I currently have are about, 3 years old? So I need to upgrade them, or not necessarily upgrade them, but reprint the parts and stuff for it. So I will be doing some reprinted parts and a rebuild of my existing edamames. And I hope to be doing a build of the 50 millimeter, the new drivers, here soon. And we are sponsored by Edamame. We are going to have some sponsored Edamame streams here soon. So yeah, we got quite a few things on the plate to get done. And I am going to figure out a good way of getting these locked down. It's probably going to be some type of little 15-15 cable tie there. In stop is on the back side at the can outside, and I cannot remember which one of these is which. I will say the longer one. I did leave one longer, and the longer side is probably the side that would be to ground. So, which doesn't matter. They don't even give a pin out for the thermistor. So that's awesome. Figure out about what the length is going to be here to route this around. Good there. I mean, technically it's a thermistor. There is no polarity on a thermistor, so hey, Jedi Spidey, welcome in. Thank you for the 13 months in a row of subscription. I appreciate that, my friend. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? All right, Spidey. Um, I, I'm going to ask you for a commitment here on channel. Okay? You stayed up late and you're about to watch the Ohio State Texas game. Nice. Yeah, my game, which will be the Clemson Tiger game, starts at 7:30 tonight Eastern time. But yeah, I'm going to ask you for a commitment, and that is if either you or I win the H2S from the Bamboo Lab contest that's going on or giveaway that's going on Twitch, if you or I, either one of us, win that printer, we need an arbiter that goes with Master Chief. Can we agree to that? Oh, and for the love of God. For the love of God. I just did this with XH connectors, and it's apparently a pH connector, and I didn't even notice it. So we'll depin these. You'll print the life-size warthog. They posted it on all the socials, so you should see it on X and various like X, Instagram, all over. It's actually a Bamboo Lab giveaway that they're doing. You heard it here, done deal. There you go. If either one of us wins it, I'm not saying we're going to go out and buy one, but if either one of us wins it, we got to print it. And you'll have a Master Chief, we'll have an Arbiter, and then Zombie's going to print a life-size Warthog, because why not, right? And by the way, folks, we did get the Dunkin' run. You are going to have a fully caffeinated dragon today. But I am not going to stream for 9 hours today because, one, I'm now going to be required to do pH connectors, which might make me cry. And then two, me and Mrs. Dragon need to run around and do some stuff today before she leaves. Okay. So, XH, pH. Let's go. XH connector, pH connector. A lot smaller pins. A lot smaller pins. And I just pop the pen off right onto the floor. That's great. That'll hurt later. It's going to hurt later. I'll find it when I'm barefoot up here, that's for sure. Look at me getting 2 out like I'm going to get both of these on the first try. Jinx myself 20 times over doing that. All right. So here's a question for everybody. We'll be heading out to 3D Printopia soon. Should we bring some merch, like some shirts and stuff for people? Would anybody be interested in grabbing a shirt from the show? Or a coffee mug? I'll see if I can get them in fast enough. If anybody's interested, let me know, and I will try and bring some. I'll do a bulk order. You have a mug and shirt anyway? Okay. We're going to have the stickers. We're going to have coins. I did not remake my coin. I am not a maker chip crazy person that redoes my coin for every show. So, okay. Come on, you little. Okay. So we've got the end stop in now. We've got the end stop, and we've got the motors done up to our GBB 15. We can work on our umbilical. But I think what I want to do first is work on wiring up the tool head, because once we get the tool head wired up, we can then work on the main cable coming up and around. Doesn't really make sense to do it any other way at this point. And man, I've got this thing all kinds of cattywampus. Okay. Oopsies. Now, we kind of were holding off until we could do our hot end wiring first because I did not want to mount the board until we had the hot end wiring done. That's just because of where the hot end wiring goes, it comes right in here and it's a tiny freaking connector. So I wanted to wait and do this and get these in first before I mounted the board up here and then started working on the rest of the wiring. So we'll get this set up there. Once again, this is the EBB 36 version 1.2. And on the last stream, we used our bench pigtails now. That's why I created these to actually go through and get all of the CAN bus stuff wired up and ready to go. I just noticed I got a similar thing to Steve where it looks like the tool head is slightly tilted back. I'll have to look at that. I'll have to see how Steve solved that as well. So we've got our two little wires here for the hot end that we'll have to put ferrules on. And did this come with small ferrules? I cannot remember if do they provide ferrules in here. They do not. They do provide a bunch of connectors and stuff that we may wind up needing to use. Lay those out. We will want to get our heat sink on there. Now that we have all of that done up. All right, so we got our heat sink put on there. And like I said, we do not have ferrules in the kit here. I'm going to go grab my ferrules and I'm going to put you on mute while I do so I can blow my nose since I just sneezed. So be right back. Test, test. No. Test, test, test. Fine. Put this one. Okay. Yeah. Mrs. Dragon has all of her coins done. I need to start running some coins myself again and getting my coins done up. And then I think we need to work on the drag racers some. Work on the drag racer and death racer potentially. And that's all we're working on at this point. We're not working on anything else. No more printer builds. Printer tuning. Yep. We need to do some of that. But I am not going to start a new printer build. I'm going to use the smallest one of these that I have, which is a 22 gauge. Tag me in the X post. Okay. There's a possibility that even these will be too big for those connectors, in which case I'm going to have to do a blasphemous thing and just go in with straight wire. Gotta win now, exactly. Gotta win now. And, and the misses can't be too mad if you win the printer, right? You're like, baby, I didn't pay for it. I won it. All right, now I need small flathead. H2C glacier sheet just came in, or H2S. Yeah. Well, gang, not going in with our things on here. So as much as it pains me to, I may have to go in without barrels on this because I just cannot get these barrels squeezed down enough to go in. And these are the smallest ones that I have, which are 22, are the white ones. So yeah, we're going to have to do bare wire. I will not tin these wires. I'm just going to go in with bare wire. You gotta put a glacier on all your printers. I'll tell you what, I kind of like the Kadives. I got a couple of Kadives at Murph. They were right across the aisleway from me, and those have worked really well. Now, on the glacier plates, Zombie, are they good to run ABS on, or are they primarily just PLA and PETG? You use them for ABS? Okay. It's the frostbites that are PLA only, right? Okay, so both of those are in there and they're mounted very nicely. So I'll go ahead and screw this down with a couple of M3x8s. We are going directly into plastic, so no need to ugga the duggas. I mean, hell, quite honestly, these could probably get away with 6s versus 8s, but 8s will do good without a lot of push through. Let me I love when a plan fails to come together. Fails to come together because I did not put heat set inserts in the back of this. So we'll pull this off, put our heat sets in it, and then put it back on, and away we'll go. Maybe. Those are button heads down there. Yeah, I'm doing a full Polymaker box. So whatever that is, the K2 Kevin Polymaker box. I'm going to have a full one. Mrs. Dragon will have a full one. Okay, so let me go through and put in the 2 heat sets that I failed to put in the first time around. Yeah, and see, that makes more sense to me because, somebody keeps running these Polymaker things based on how many different coins you bring to the table. And then you have the kids that make the run and grab every single coin. Oh, you're not able to come to the show this year, Adam? First time to the event? Yeah, it's a blast, Spidey. It is a blast. And then once again, this is going to be the last year in Bel Air. Next year it will be moving to Philly. So right, so we got that. Let's go ahead and put this back on there. In the right one, and it surprisingly enough will work really well. Probably should have put this one in first. Yeah, show money adds up. That is true. And Hugh Forge got a smaller Airbnb this year. Gotcha. Only 4 of them there this year versus 6 of us last year. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, there's a lot of people doing the Hugh Forge thing now. So, but they did get to Japan. That is true. They did get over to Japan, which was cool. Don't sell yourself short, Spidey. You got a lot of cool projects you're doing, and I, for one, am glad to see you at all of the maker meetups that we have. And I love that Mrs. Spidey comes along because that gives Mrs. Dragon somebody else to chat with. Yeah, a lot of shows next year. A lot of new shows next year too. That's going to be interesting with all the new shows coming in. See how well, does that divide people up, or do people actually start going to all the shows, or what? Okay, so that's now installed in there. Now we just get to start piecing everything together here. No, that's not going to show what I needed it to do. Let me see if I can't lower you guys down just a tad bit. I'm just going to try and get you a better angle is what I'm going to do. There we go. Get you a better angle and potentially see if I can't bring you in a little bit more. There we go. So there's the tool head board. We've got our filament runout sensor up here. We'll have our two hot and cooling fans coming through here. Trying to figure out which is heading from where. We've got that one. We've got this one. We've got our thermistor right here. We've got our piezo wire, which is going to go up here to the board. We've got the ergoba wire. And you're going to hear me say, oh crap, here in a second. Okay, so this is ergoba, and this is fan, and the fan wire that we had to extend is the hot end fan, and these two are the side fans. So these two are the ones that we're going to have to join together. This one's going to go in, and what is next on our EBB 36? There we go. Move this over some. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work my way along the bottom. So we've got our hot end 2 in, or our hot end in. The next one would be fan 2, fan 1, and then the thermistor. So fan 1 is the hot end fan. Fan 2 is the part cooling fan. So our negative is going to be at the top. And we really didn't need to extend this a whole heck of a lot. We'll snip those wires, and then we'll come in here and do our JSTs. And we'll use the JSTs they provide. That way we know that we've got the right size. And do they mix and match? The answer to that is sort of. So they do have two different size JSTs here. The fans and just about everything on here is the XH. There is one connector right here on the left side. It's marked end stop, and it's a 5-pin connector there marked end stop. That is a PH connector. So that's the one you'll have to be mindful of if you're wiring this up and you decide to use that pin for things. And I think we are going to use pins for that. Oh, come on. Okay. Connector goes in that way, and positive on the bottom or the left. Negative on the right, which will go to the top. I have our thermistor wire over here as well, so let's figure that out. Piezo wire is going to come around and up the side, somehow like that. The other thing that I want to do is look at the Micron, not that Micron, that's the piezo probe. But where was is it the Micron manual? Yes, there we go. So let's switch over to this view. Possibly a little bit smaller for y'all. We'll move this over some. Try and move this over a tiny bit. So what we're doing here is we're just making sure and putting things in the right place. So on the bottom here, we've got our thermistor plugged in. Then the hot end fan goes into fan 1. The hot end goes in hot end 0. Yep. RGB is going to go up above the thermistor. So we'll go ahead and get those wires ready to go in. I'm going to figure out our distance here. Thanks for the lurk, zombie. And top to bottom, we're going to go with positive. So that'll be the red. So for those of you that are in the local area to me, which is the Raleigh, North Carolina area, we will be having our next Maker meetup. I believe it's September 13th. So if you have the opportunity, come on out. Power's at the top, which will go that way. Signal is in the middle, which is our blue wire. Yeah, we'll have another get together shortly before, I think the week before, 1 or 2 weeks before going to 3D Printopia. So hopefully if you're in the area, you can make it. And if you're unable to make it to 3D Printopia, definitely come out, hang out and say hi to us before we head up, and let us know if there's anybody or, anything you want us to reach out and get some information on. So who's the next wire? And then we'll grab our black wire or our ground wire. Yeah, it's nice getting together once a month and just hanging out, seeing progress on projects and stuff like that. We work on 3D printers. We had some people there with custom keyboards, and Winnis is there with his custom network and other electronics boards. We got a lot of people there. All right, so there's our RGB. We're going to need our motor cable coming over to this side. We'll have to just figure that out. Pat around like that. And once again, we'll follow the same pattern, blue, red, green, black. Wow, it's amazing. It's almost like all of these motors came from the same company. Busy month for you, your Excavate meetup. The next weekend, you'll be up in DC for the NFL game. Yep, I remember you saying that. And then following for Printopia. Yeah, that's going to be a long, busy weekend or couple of weeks. Like I said, Miss Dragon's going out to Colorado, and we're going to be burning the midnight oil, trying to get project stuff done and ready for the table and the booth. And like I said, at this point, I am not planning on starting any new projects for, any new builds or anything right now. It's just we need to get the break fix stuff done that we've been ignoring since Murph. Need to get with Evil Diesel and make sure that he's good to go on all of the Death Racer stuff, because I believe Mrs. Dragon wanted a redesign that he had been working on. And the motor cable, which once again, blue, red, green, black. Yeah, that's the big goal here. Getting some things straightened up, getting some things ready for the show, and trying not to lose my marbles at work. And folks, after I get this one done, I may go ahead and call it quits. We've been going for a couple hours, about 3 hours. And like I said, I did need to go and spend some time with Mrs. Dragon before she leaves on her trip back to Colorado. You'll be leaving early in the morning tomorrow. So that'll be fun to get up and run down to the airport in the morning. Run down to the airport, drop her off, come back and go grab some breakfast with Evil Diesel, and figure out the rest of the day. Okay, that goes there. So we've got our motor wire in, we've got our thermistor, our hot end cooling fan, and our hot end itself. We need to do our pigtail for our part cooling fans, which goes into fan 2. There is a note that you'll have to either use a Y connector or the solder connector. We're going to solder connector. We're going to solder these two together and come out with just one of these as a pigtail and go into that other side. So we'll do that here, or I'll do that here off stream where I bring these all together. And then let's see, extruder motor, we did that. End stop, X end stop. We're doing sensorless on this. So we're not going to be doing any end stops. We'll be doing sensorless. And then the upper sensor is going to, it calls for being on the probe pen with ground and PB6. So the left two pins of the probe, which is the bottom left connector there. Yeah. And then the upper would go into PB5 and ground. Yeah. So we'll work on getting these last two done. Again, we're not doing an end stop. We do have a probe which would go down on that probe pin and the two fans. I'm just trying to think real fast. I also need to look at the piezo probe and figure out where that one's going to go. So we'll look at doing the probe and the filament runout sensor and the connector for the piezo probe. We'll get that done here in the next stream as well. So I do have the little board. So let's actually, because I have the board here, I will go ahead and install this now, since we have it. Bum, 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 bum. And seeing how our piezo probe comes around here, I think I need to take this top piezo mount and flip it around so that so I need the board to sit like this, so the screw holes will be on the left side. Currently, it would screw on there like this, and I don't have enough of the flat ribbon cable to pull it up over here. So I'm going to need to change this mount here. And I should be able to do that without taking everything off, because it's just screws in from the front and back. So I should be able to remove this screw and pull the one from the front out some, and then rotate that That goes there. This goes back in here. And then it'll just be a matter of putting that in there and how best to route this. I may see about running this back up through the center here. By running it up and through the center and out the side here, that would limit any chance of it getting pinched over on this side. So go ahead and put that up. We'll get our cable installed. Screw this to the mount. Oh yeah, Liz, Miss Dragon has been going like just bangers with her P1S as well as the Anycubic, and now both of them are acting up again. The P1S just took an error on the Z, and I believe it is basically complaining that the Z, I think it's the load cell. So there's either debris or something like that in there. So I get to go and work on that. I'll reach out to Waters if I have any issues, since Ecovate is not just a dealer but also a authorized service center for bamboo. So cool. Filament sensor, fans. We'll get those two done, and then we'll figure out where our piezo go. I think I'm going to run the piezo, which should be a 3-pin connector, into the right side of the probe, and then the left side, which would be a standard end stop, so PB6, I would use for the upper sensor, which is what it's telling me to do. So I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do to set these up. But all right, folks, for now, I think that's where we're at. I may, yeah, we're going to have to do something with these wires to tuck them in a little bit more, just because otherwise we're going to be hitting the drag chain every time it comes back to do its thing. I could probably just make the LEDs a little bit smaller, take out some of the slack in that cable, and that'll help. But all right, folks. I think this is where we're going to call it. We've made a lot of good progress. I'll probably work on doing these last couple of connections off stream just because it's easy enough to do. But yeah, we've got our CAN bus up to the GBB15 board done. We've got the Z motors connected up. We've got the CAN bus cabling up to the GBB15. All of the things that plug into the GBB15 are now plugged in. And we've got most of the tool head done. We have just a couple more things on the tool head to work on, and then it'll be off to the races on getting the other CAN bus cable done. And once we get that done, then we'll be sitting pretty at that point. I think we're pretty close to done here as far as the top deck wiring. Once we get the tool head done, then I'll come back in, we'll mount the bed, and we'll do the bed wiring, which should all be right at top deck. And then, yeah, at that point, we'll be testing it and moving it, and then we'll get into putting panels and stuff like that on after we do a test print or two. So thank you all for being here and hanging out with me on this fine Saturday morning. You guys have lots of fun, and I will see you guys later. Remember, Monday is a holiday, and I will be without adult supervision, so we'll probably stream some on Monday, right? Thanks a lot, Jedi Spidey. You too. And like I said, everybody, have a great day, but let's figure out who we can raid into. It's 1 o'clock. Somebody should be on. Wow. Not a lot of people. We got Old Man Shane that is doing X-Man Sentinel. Is this a Polymaker 3D? Let's see what this is looking like. Okay. Yeah, we'll jump on over there. Not a problem, Hut Makerspace. Thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get a raid started over to Old Man Shane. Or excuse me, Same Old Shane. Wow. Same Old Shane. Like I said, thanks everybody for being here. Oh, wait, Nathan Builds thing is working on a Prusa? Yeah, no, we'll go over to Shane. All right, thanks everybody for being here. He is Old Man Shane too. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody for being here. I will see you guys soon. Be aware there's probably going to be a pop-up stream on Monday just because it's me and we've got things to work on. So Santa Claus. Okay. But I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for the bits, the follows, the subs. I really appreciate it. Yes, Liz. Big hearts to you. I'll be looking for a hug here soon out at 3D Printopia. So have a good Saturday and a good weekend, and I will see you around the interwebs. Have a great one all. Bye now. And for those of you that are watching this at a later date on YouTube, thank you for hanging out and chilling out with us today. If you like what you see, please be sure to like below, smash that like button, and subscribe. When you subscribe, click on that bell so you're notified of future videos and potential streams. And speaking of new videos, YouTube's going to be suggesting one right over here. Thank you.